Alright, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. I've been going through a series of video presentations based on Murox HTML5 and CSS3 4th edition, which is one of the two textbooks that is used for the Rankin Technical College AWD Application and Web Development 1000 or Web Development Technologies class. So far I've gone over these 8 chapters. I skipped 9 and 10. I skipped 16, but I've done 11 through 15, 17, 18, 19, and I'm going to do 20 right now. I'm hoping to have some time this weekend where I can create an example or two for a Flexbox layout, a grid layout, and some CSS transitions, transforms, animations, and filters. If I can do that, the hope is I can come in here early next week and finish up the last three chapters. Okay, but again, for now, Chapter 20, when and how to use third-party development tools. So some of the ones that get discussed in here are Emmet, GitHub, Sass, Bootstrap, Node Package Manager, and Gulp.js. All right. So let's talk about them, and not even from the book's perspective. Let's talk about it from our own perspective. All right. I think I mentioned before that the editor that I'm going to use for this class will be Visual Studio Code. One of the reasons I'm going to use that is, believe it or not, maybe you care, maybe you don't. All right. One of the reasons for that is the fact that I don't know it very well. All right, and I thought I've got it downloaded on my machine. I may not. So let me grab a different editor that I think I have on here, which is Brackets. All right, and why am I, oops, I spelled it wrong. Try it again. All right, so here's a text editor. So why am I taking the time to show you this? Well, hopefully this will come up on here and show it to me. Okay, so if I come through here and I do File, New, and it's giving me an error. I don't know why, but it is. There's index.html. Let's see if it'll let me open that. Okay. All right, I'm going to control. I've got an empty file now. There's nothing in here. If I put in just an exclamation point and I hit a tab key, notice what it filled in for me. It gave me an HTML template, and the thing that allowed me to do that was Emmet. Emmet is a third-party software add-on that you can use that will provide for you a lot of extra functionality, and you can use it for a lot of different editors. All right? Okay, one of the things that we want to teach you in the Rankin Technical College Application and Web Development Program is how to use what's called source control or version control. And if you've never heard that, we go over it early in the semester, and we use Git and GitHub. So these are version controls. Okay, don't worry about what that means right now. All right, we don't typically spend much time, very little time, with Sass. And Sass probably means something, but I don't know exactly what it means. But what Sass provides, in a nutshell, is the ability to create, I want to say programmable CSS or programmable Cascade style sheets. It's not exactly programmable, but it somewhat is. You can create variables and do different things with it. One thing we do look at is Bootstrap. If you've ever gone out to a website, and I've done this before, let me bring up my friend Tom's website that one of my students created, and that's leavemeathome.com. And you'll notice that when it comes up, if I take my screen size and I make it smaller, that ideally at least, when I get in here and I'm looking around, I don't know why that's not coming up, but it's not, it still looks nice. All right, for some reason this site, which for when it was created, it looked fantastic on Chrome and not as good on some other websites, now has trouble on Chrome and looks great on every other website. Not sure why. All right, but Bootstrap was used in this. Bootstrap is a it used to be called Twitter Bootstrap. It was originally created for Twitter by a couple of Twitter developers, but it's been open sourced and released to the public. All right. And it allows you to do a lot of things to help, especially to help make your web pages responsive. All right, Node.js, and again, in a nutshell, and some people who listen to this tape may not agree with what I'm saying, but Node.js allows you to use JavaScript, which for years was client-side only. It allows you to use it on the server. Gulp, I believe, is a package manager. I could be wrong on that, but it allows you to do a lot of different things. All right. So why do you use third-party tools? Because it gives you the ability to do things that would be very hard, if not impossible, to do otherwise. You can read the stuff that's on here. I don't want to read to you. But it can save you time. It can save you money. It can mean that you write less code. All right, those are all things that are going to turn managers on. So I showed you Emmet a little bit. And there's a lot of things that you can do with it. You want to learn about Emmet. All right, one thing that you can do is you can go out and there are Emmet cheat sheets online. All right, I'm looking into, believe it or not, I'm glad I didn't have Visual Studio Code. I'm glad I did not have that loaded because I would uninstall it anyway. In one of these future videos, once I get done with the PowerPoints for the other book and we start creating the website, I'm going to have a video that I create which just goes over the installation of Visual Studio Code. All right. So notice if I type in this. This says I want to create a nav section, and that nav section should have a UL or an unordered list in it, and it should have 5 list items, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each one of those list items should have an anchor link that should go to target HTML, and it should have in there an ID of item, and the $ says give it a number, so item 1, item 2, etc. All right, and then the words link text. What's kind of cool is this one line generated all this code. You could do it by hand, but once you learn Emmet, it can really, speed up the process, so to speak. All right, GitHub allows you to create what are called repositories or repos. Again, it is a source control system. All right, so the idea is what you're able to do with that is you can use Git and GitHub either alone or you can use it with other products. Now, to show you real quick, okay, what happens here. Now, Git has changed because it was recently purchased by Microsoft. But what I was having my students do was they were using a free package called bitbucket.org, and my students would take their assignments, their code, etc., and put it out to their Bitbucket account, and then provide a read link to me to the stuff they put out there. All right? Now, why that's important to them is they could take their stuff and put it right out on a server, a real live server, where if they made it public, other people could look at it. For years, everything on Git that was free was public only. If you wanted private, you had to pay for it. That, I believe, has changed recently. All right, but you can use a source control system for yourself. So if you've got different versions of a product that you're creating, you can basically put points in there where you say, I want to save it as as of this time and this time, place and time. Then if you go on and you make a mistake, you can revert back to that. And Git and GitHub are also nice because they can be used by teams, where team members can check out different pages, web pages, or different whatever, work on them, and then check them back in. All right. Sass, as I mentioned, what Sass will allow you to do, for lack of better words, and this is my definition, which probably is not a great one. All right. But it says you can use Sass for nesting, and you create this, and it'll get converted into this for you. All right. So there's the SAS script. As I said, you can use variables. I have done very little with SAS. You can also create what are called mix-ins, but it can be very, very powerful and very nice. All right. Bootstrap, as it says, it helps you with layout, helps you provide content. It's filled with components. It's filled with utilities. Okay? And they don't give you great examples in here because you'd want pictures. Here's a thing with Bootstrap components. You can create this nav bar with just a few lines of code. This right here is what's referred to as a jumbotron. That's one line of code. This right here is a button, again with one line of code, but this will be responsive. If you want more, go out to Get Bootstrap, one word, getbootstrap.com, and you can find out just a whole boatload of information on this. All right, you end up using Bootstrap classes because that's kind of what it is. All right, class equals this, class equals that, etc. All right, Node.js, again, the NPM is the Node Package Manager. All right, and Gulp, as it says, you can install it and add it to your project. I'm not going to say any more about these because I'd be doing them a disservice. And that pretty much is it for this chapter. So now we have actually finished 17 out of the 20 chapters in the book. And my hope is what we're going to end up doing very shortly is finishing up the last 3. And then, as I already mentioned to you, it will be onward and upward to the second book. All right? So, let's see. That was 19. So, I'll be back shortly.